Welcome to Philosophy for Knowledge. This references a short book by Linda Zagzebski entitled On Epistemology. In the past, I have required the text for students taking this course. Rather than requiring you to read the entire book, I will be summarizing the book for you. The required book for our course is Human Knowledge by Moser and Vandernat. A note on our textbook. Philosophers have been thinking about the nature of human knowledge for thousands of years, and their ideas can be complex. As a result, many students find the textbook for this course to be difficult to read. I do recommend that you read the textbook for this course, but I have found that many students in this course find it is easier to read the textbook selections after watching my introductory videos on the reading. My video lectures will pull out the central elements of each reading, and this should help you to focus on the central reading elements within the text and will hopefully make it easier for you to read and understand. Also, you are not required to read the preface of our text, found on pages 1 to 28. This information is interesting, but it covers ideas in more depth than necessary for our introduction. A definition of epistemology. Epistemology is the word used by philosophers to refer to the theory of knowledge. Central questions asked in epistemology include: how do we know what is true? What does it mean to be true? And what should we believe? At first glance, these questions may seem redundant, as we would expect that understanding what it means for a claim to be true would show us how to prove that something is true, and that we ought to believe whatever we can show to be true. This is largely true, but the situation is more complex than this. For example, most philosophers would agree that some things are true, even though there is no way for us to know if they are true. A truth that can never be known? Was there a female kangaroo rat living in Joshua Tree's famous Skull Rock when Columbus arrived in the Americas? Most of us would agree that there is some fact of the matter. Either such a rat lived in this rock or did not. But this is knowledge that we can never gain. Even if we guessed correctly, we would not call such random guess a form of knowledge. Even if we guessed correctly, we would not call such a random guess a form of knowledge. There are similar complexities to the questions, what should I believe, and how do I know what is true? Usually we would say that we should only believe things that we can know are true. But if we don't have sufficient evidence for a claim, then why should we believe it? We do, however, sometimes encourage people to believe things even without proof. Religious faith sometimes falls into this category, where many people prize a belief because it takes additional effort to believe. Can believing something make it true? There are even some cases where believing something can make it true. Imagine the speaker who believes she will be a great public speaker, even though she has never spoken to a large audience before and has no evidence that she will succeed. Psychologists will tell you that the speaker who believes in herself, even with a lack of evidence, is in fact more likely to give a great speech than the speaker who lacks this unfounded confidence. But many of us would probably agree that this is the exception to the rule, and that many facts in the world are true independently of our beliefs about them. The central role of beliefs in epistemology. Knowledge is generally considered to be made up of true beliefs. There is also a central role of justification and explanation. In addition, most of us would agree that knowledge is justified true belief and not, for example, a lucky guess. Let's say that you believe it will rain in the first week of May in the year 2040, and let's say that it does in fact rain on that day. Would you say that when you formed that belief, you really knew that it would rain? Probably not. So there is more to knowledge than just having a belief that in fact is true. To count as knowledge, your belief must usually be justified by sufficient evidence as well. If we have justified true belief, we also have the beginnings of explanation. In part, this is because knowing that something is true generally helps to explain why it is true. Why should we care about the truth? In her short book, Zagzebski offers several reasons for why we should care about the truth. Firstly, she claims it is intrinsically valuable, that knowing the truth is just a better way of life than being deceived or confused. Morality and action. If we don't know the truth about something, then how can we make a good choice or take the right action? Love and concern. Love and concern for something or someone require that we want to truly know that person or thing. Responsibility and conscientiousness are positive character traits for our lives. Democracy and social participation. We all depend on each other. If we vote based on false beliefs, there are negative effects for all of us. Relation to the divine. As a religious philosopher, Zagzebski believes that truth has a divine origin. Does all truth matter? We all want to know, quote, the truth, and Zagzebski claims that knowing the truth is inherently good, but things may be more complicated than that. Are all beliefs worth knowing? Are there some truths we should not know? At the very least, we would probably agree that prioritizing what we can learn is important. Most of you would probably say that I had poor priorities if I spent my week counting and organizing the grains of sand in my shoes after a visit to the beach. Epistemic communities. Zagzebski points out that the formation of our beliefs does not happen in a vacuum. In fact, we learn what we learn largely through epistemic communities. Our parents, teachers, friends, and communities all help us learn. At the same time, we are all aware that even our communities can get things wrong, and we need to be responsible for our own beliefs. Zagzebski identifies 3 positions we might have relative to knowledge and how we treat the beliefs of those in our epistemic communities. Extreme epistemic egoism. The extreme epistemic egoist point of view is that the beliefs of others should never be counted as evidence that a claim is true, even if we know that those others are reliable. Weak epistemic egoism. The weak epistemic egoist point of view is that the beliefs of others should count as evidence that a claim is true, but only if we know that those others are reliable. Epistemic Universalism. The Epistemic Universalist point of view is that the beliefs of others always count as at least some evidence that a claim may be true, unless we know that those others are unreliable. What kinds of human traits and practices get us closer to the truth? Zagzebski spends a significant amount of time asking the question, what types of traits and practices can facilitate our search for truth? I'm not going to detail her ideas here, but this is a question that we will discuss this week.